Good morning. I hope you feel good. And so definitively today we're going to work a little bit on on working for the sciatica. It's a very numbing pain that's constantly there. So, but there are certain movements that we definitively can do. So we're going to start first warming up the body a little bit. So separate your feet, feel the ground. And then we're going to reach the arms to the side and then open and close the hands. So the palms are facing down and just open and close. And then bring the arms to the front, continue doing this. And then bring the arms to the ceiling and continue doing this. So really opening and closing. And yes, you will feel some muscles working in your forearms. And then bringing to the front again and to the side. And then release and just shake it out. Bring the arms to the side again, and this time touching the shoulders and then opening. So working a little bit more the upper arms and the elbows. So watch out that you don't push your floating ribs too much forward so that you stay in a gentle mountain pose. And then keeping the hands onto the shoulders, we're just going to rotate gently. So just swinging from side to side, warming up the spine. And then coming back here. And then start to make circles with your arms. So bring the elbows together, up as you inhale and down as you exhale. So and if you're still wondering, like, how can I connect this breath to my movement? I was thinking back about my own practice, and let's change direction. And then I read up on it, and I think it's realistic that first your body has to know how it has to move. And then eventually the breath can be connected to it, but you will notice that the breath will automatically connect once the body knows how to move. So this time rotating, so right elbow to the left, left to the right, so continuing to move. And then changing direction, so really opening the armpit up to the sky. And then coming back and release. Let's lift the right arm up, lengthen up. And now exhale, go over. Inhale, come back up, bring the arm down. Inhale up, exhale over, inhale up, exhale down. So now just a movement, 2 more times each side. And this is a simple movement, so maybe there you feel a little bit more the breath. And it would be interesting also to observe, what if I connect my breath to it? Am I more present? And then the last time, but go at your own pace, please. And then let's bring the hands onto the hips and push the hips to the right, and then push the hips to the left. So if you are in pain because of sciatica, we might just stop moving to one side and just stop and say, okay, no, I'm not going to go further. If that's the case, that's okay. You can stop here, but I would suggest that you then breathe in, and as you exhale, maybe go a tiny, tiny bit further. If it doesn't hurt you as you do this movement, which is very well possible, then you just move. So just move laterally, keeping the feet light so that your knees don't suffer too much. And then we're going to do the same thing, but then front and back. So pressing your hips back and pressing your hips forward. So a banana is not totally a banana when we push our bum back, but so just that movement. And it's really moving. It's not so much the tailbone and the pubic bone, it's really that movement, that swaying of the body. And then now, maybe you need to separate your feet a little bit more. The full circle. So Pressing to the side, pressing to the front, pressing to the back. And again, you can work with your breath here if you want. Like if you're focused now on more getting the movement, and then going the other side. And then coming back to center. So separating the feet a little bit more, and now just bending one knee, the other knee. You can lift your toes or lift your heel, whatever works for you, but as you bend one knee, make sure you stretch the other one. Not to the point that it's tight, but just that you feel that you're actually doing something and you're not just swaying between the two. And then coming back to center. Now we're gonna bring the feet as wide as your hips and then bend your knees just a little bit. And let's just go a little bit deeper as you exhale and then inhale, come up a little bit. So not too far. Watch out for the lower back that you don't press your bum back. So find that balance between tucking your tail and lifting your tail. So we're just gonna bounce a little bit. So the reason I want to do this today is because I really want us to realize that our upper body here stays very neutral, and it's purely our legs that are working. And that's the movement we need to find when we come back up from a forward fold. Okay, so shake it out a little bit. And then let's come into our Tadasana. So you shouldn't feel any stress, any strain in your body when you come into Tadasana, but you should feel opening. So opening meaning freedom within the body. So take a breath in and see if you can lengthen your legs, activate the core to support you, and then lifting the chest so you create space in to your chest, lengthening the neck. Take a deep breath in and exhale. Inhale, so your neck is quite long. You're going to bring the chin to the chest without moving your arms or shoulders and feeling that stretch. If you still feel that your shoulders are moving forward or your upper back is rounding, cross your arms over your chest. That's going to give you an indication of if you move or not. So let's go a little bit deeper. You can bring the shoulder blades a little bit more down on purpose to keep that length into your spine. And then coming back up. And then exhale, look to the right. So a twist to the right, coming back to center. And to the left. So here too, if you feel there's a pinch, don't force it through for sure. Don't jump out of it. Just gently with your breath, see if you can go further. If not, then you just come back. And then coming back to center, and this time right ear to right shoulder. Bring your right hand on your left ear. Pull down with your left hand. Already just that pulling down with your left hand is going to create an opening on the side. So watch out that you don't bring your head forward. So you really want to start to feel these muscles on the side stretching out. Very gently you can pull onto your head, but it's more an indication of the head where to go. And then release. Coming back to center, and then let's go to the other side. So left ear to the left shoulder, left hand on the right ear, pull down with your right hand, and opening. So you should be looking straight forward. If you see a little bit too much of the ceiling or too much of the floor, realign. You might have to come back to center to realign. And then release and shake it all out. Okay, so we're gonna come to the front of the mat. So sciatica is a nerve that passes here through, and because it's passing through all kinds of things, sometimes just with a bad move or there's an irritation that happens, and that's what we feel the pain. So the pinch is still there. So the pinch happens between the muscles. So it's not that it's pinching between bones, it's passing through a big muscle. So if that muscle is very tight, that's what's going to create the pain, and it can go to the front or to the back of your leg, and it can have like a real pain in your buttocks, like one space. It can be two legs, one leg, and it's exacerbated when you're driving, indeed, with your right foot. So we're going to first lengthen our hamstrings a little bit so that they can give some place to the sciatic nerve. So come at the front of the mat, take a breath in and a breath out. Let's bring our hands to our hips and take a step back with your right foot. And so again, this is something that you can do during your day. So you don't have to be that 1 hour on your mat in the morning. To when you feel the pain, you can easily do this in your kitchen, and I'll show it to you in a moment. So the right foot is slightly out. You're on 2 rail tracks. You're going to lengthen your spine, roll the shoulders back, elbows back. So your upper body needs to be quite neutral and straight, but we want to really focus on where the position of our hips and our straight legs. So press your feet down. Make sure your legs are straight, hips parallel with the front of the mat. And then inhale, and then from the hip crease, go with a straight back forward. So press that back foot down, press the front foot down, and then make sure that your hips remain parallel with the front. So you might feel or not feel anything in the right leg, if that's where your sciatic is. You might feel more stretch into the left leg, and that's okay because we're actually stretching more in the left leg when we have the left leg forward. So if you are in your kitchen or in the bathroom, imagine this is a countertop. So just go here and really press. And then by bending your elbows, you can go a little bit lower. So you want to feel some sensations in your legs, but you don't want to go to a pain level. That's absolutely never good. Then inhale and then exhale. Let's release the upper body. Let your hands drop wherever they are. So you don't have to do this when you're doing that at the counter or something. It's just now to complete the movement. So the stretch becomes a little bit more, and maybe you feel it only in your calf muscles, maybe in the leg. So watch out that the left hip doesn't move too much forward. So press it back, press the back heel back, drop your head, drop your arms. And then slowly coming back up. And then come to the front. So doing the same thing on the other side. So here we're gonna more go into the right side. So take a step back with your left foot. Back foot slightly out for stability, 2 rail tracks. Strong upper body, strong legs, press the feet down. Take a breath in, and then from your hip crease. So you don't want to round your spine. You want to really move from your hip crease. So in there you probably are going to feel a little bit more into your back leg, your right back leg. So what happens very often is that the body is going to push this right hip forward just to help you, because it's less strain on the body. So make sure that you push the right hip back so that your hips remain parallel with the floor. So inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. So, and for me, just to share, I feel more a stretch in my calf muscles when I do this one for now, but it definitely affects also the hamstrings, which might be fine, but the hamstring is flexible, so my calf muscles are the ones that are shorter. So I can feel that this is already doing a lot of good for my right bum. And then exhale, release, let go. But don't forget, everybody's different, so you might feel something totally different on this side. So let go of your spine, let go of your head. Don't go too deep. You still have to be able to breathe here. So here, breath becomes really your indicator. If you go a little bit too far, then your breath is going to stop or become very broken. So your breath should be able to remain calm. So, and definitively, if you are on your right side and that's the side that is bothering you, I'm gonna stay here for 4 more breaths, because this, I can really feel that this is opening up. So if this is not, if you don't have problems with sciatica, I would suggest that you gently come out, and we'll join you in 2 breaths. But by all means, you can stay. We can never stretch too much here. So, and then very slowly bend your knees, press yourself up, and come up. So hamstrings is one, and then opening of the hips. So we'll do a few things to open the hips. But the first one we're going to do is our balance pose. And again, I'll show you an alternative that you can do during your day, especially if you're working seated all day. So separate the feet wider than your hips, just to have a bit more stability. Keep your hands on your hips, and then bend your knees just slightly. So we want to be solid. If you're a little bit all over the place today, your balance might be off. So it's that balance between left and right brain that is actually going to give balance into your body. So then you go with your bum against the wall, shoulder blades or shoulders against the wall, and you're going to do the same thing as we do. At a certain moment when you're against the wall, you can press yourself up, staying onto your fingertips. So again, let's start with our left side. We'll do the right side after. So bring weight onto your right leg, lift, and open your knee and open your hip. So you want to keep your foot flexed so that your knee is protected. And then if you already start to round, see if you can bring yourself back up. So that's a core that's going to activate itself, the chest is open. And then start to bend your supporting leg. So you might feel already something in your right bum, maybe in your left, like everybody's different. So if you feel something different here, as long as it's no pain, there's something definitively happening in your body. So if this is still okay, you can bring your hands in front of your heart. And then again, from this hip crease, starting to fold forward, where you're probably going to feel a little bit more. So stay there. Continue to breathe. So if you're at home and during your day, you want to stretch open, so go and sit on the edge of your chair. Do the same thing, lift it up. If your leg is too high, you can always lengthen out your right leg so that you can bring above the ankle, above the knee. And then from here, you're going to self-direct down. You can gently push into your knee to open the hip a little bit more, but again, you have to be able to continue to breathe. So observing the breath might be your first step towards connecting with the breath. So if you're still standing here, congratulations. So if you're all the way down, gently with control, come up and then release. And then separate your feet again if you brought them together. So bend your knees, lift your right foot up, and then open up. So you want to find that nook. So your ankle bone is not on your kneecap. So that's going to hurt. So it's a little bit above the knee, a little bit above the ankle. And then slowly start to bend your supporting leg. And then if you're stable, you want to go further, place your hands in front of your heart from your hip crease, start to go forward. So if there is one side bothering you with sciatica, or maybe not sciatica, but you feel that one side is stiffer than the other, I would strongly suggest that you start with the side that's bothering you. Stay there in anything that we do. So in these specific exercises to stretch and to help with sciatica, or anything that we do that is one side and the other side, if you observe that one side is a little bit less cooperative, always start with that side, go to the other side, and then come back to the first side. So eventually we'll create a balance within our body. Let's stay here for 3 more breaths. And then gently press into your foot. Bring the hands onto the hips and release. And shake it out. So already you might find a relief into your right leg. If that's the side of your sciatica, we're gonna do some more. So let's come to the front of the mat. Come into your mountain pose. Take a breath in, and this time in your mountain pose, bring your feet as close as you can without your knees knocking already on each other. So reach the arms up, and then exhale, bend your knees. So activate the quadriceps, activate your bum, activate the core. So everything is actually participating in coming here. So your arms can be up if this is not comfortable. If you're like, whoa, this is too much, then bring your hands onto your hips or your arms in the front. So there's always adjustments. Just don't settle into them. Explore every day. Maybe there is some, I wouldn't call it progress, but there's other places where we can find that comfort. So press your hips back. So I'm really moving my knees from over my toes to above or even a little bit behind my toes. Take a breath in, inhale, lengthen. Exhale, hands to heart. Inhale, lengthen, and then exhale, go to the right. So left elbow on the outside of the right leg, and then palms on top of each other, and then start to push your elbow into your knee into your elbow. So we don't want to lean over to the right. We want to keep those knees parallel to each other. If this is too much, place your left hand onto your right thigh, your right hand on the lower back, and then start to open up. You can also reach your right arm up. But watch out, let's pay attention today. If I'm doing this just for the sake of pulling my arm up, I'm actually not gonna twist more. So the goal is really to twist. So maybe for you, it's better to keep that hand on the back and gently start to open up. You can also lengthen your left arm so you have a little bit more push onto your right knee and then reach up. And then eventually come into the full expression of the pose where your thumb is in front of your breastbone. And then you can look up if your neck allows it. Maybe sit a little bit more back. But it's a twist here. 2 more breaths. And then exhale, release. Press into your feet. Work with those leg muscles to come all the way up. And exhale. So let's go to the other side. So again, position your feet. It's really going to help if your knee can support themselves as you're bending your knees. So inhale, reach the arms up. As you exhale, start to bend your knees. So first, maybe your knees are in front of your toes. You can, when you look down, you don't see them. And then gently start to press your hips back without just lifting the tailbone. So again, you want to find that balance between bring the tailbone down and up. And then somewhere in between, it's becoming comfort. Maybe not into your legs, but your spine. So your toes can dance here. There's no weight in the toes. So inhale, lengthen, exhale. Hands in front of your heart. Lengthen out your upper body, and then exhale, go to the left. So one side can be different than the other, especially if you have twists in your spine. The body moves very differently. So again, watch out that you don't move your hips to one side or the other. Knees remain parallel. You can place your right hand on your left thigh, your left hand on your lower back, reach up, reach down, and eventually come into the full expression of the pose. And then looking up. So as you exhale, see if you can bring your belly button in a little bit more so that you find a bit more space to twist. One more breath here. And then exhale, release, press into your feet and come all the way up. And exhale. So shake it out. So another one, so we need to find a balance in our upper thighs, especially to have comfort in our hips. So to release all these muscles that are here, they're all big muscles and they're strong muscles because our hips have to remain stable. So we can, the next one we can do on the floor as well. But since we're still standing, I want to do it standing before we move down. I would suggest that you hold on to a wall. So just place your hands on the wall, place one hand on the wall or your fingertips, and then bend your right knee, so the opposite leg, and then grab your foot. So if you cannot grab your foot, maybe you can grab your pants or with a strap, or even better, a towel, like a long towel, so you have a little bit more grip. You want to bring, so it's a traditional runner stretch, but it's really good. So you want to bring your knees together to start with, and then start to press your heel into your bum. If you're stable, you can grab your foot with your two hands, open up. So, and now start to press your hips forward. Your knees are still connected. So your knees and your thighs are connected. You're opening your chest, press your hips forward. So this gives more a stretch in the front of the thigh. You can by all means do that with your hand on the wall, but really starting to press the hip groin forward. And if you don't, if you release there, see if you feel a difference. And then release. And then changing to the other side. So every time we do one side, you might feel there is an imbalance created into your body, but that's just because we did one side and not the other one yet. So left knee or other knee, knees together, and really put them together. Find stability into your standing leg. And then one side can be very different than the other. Just observe. Like first press your knee down and then press your hip forward. And then if you're balanced, you can grab your foot with your two hands. And then open your chest, press your hip forward. So there's a lot of subtleties in this very simple pose. So explore for yourself and ask me the questions after if you didn't feel it. If you would have a live session, I would be able to adjust you immediately or indicate you where to move a little bit more, but we are where we are, and I'm happy we're here. And then release. And shake it out. So let's stand in our mountain pose and just observe. Like, how do we feel in the hips, in the legs now? We stretch the front thighs, we stretch the back. So the only thing to stretch here is the inner thighs. The outside is the muscles and the IT band. So we'll do that a little bit later on the floor. So let's separate the feet and bring the toes out. So you want to point the knees towards the toes. And then we're just going to stay here for a little bit. So place your hands on the upper part of your thighs. So your thumbs are back, your fingers are forward. Roll the shoulders back and see if you can roll your thighs a little bit back. It's almost as if you're opening the front of your pelvic floor. So pressing back. We're working with the bum. So the bum and the back legs are supporting us. And then press into your legs and come up. So bring the left toes towards the long side of your mat and the right toes towards the short one. So to go and feel a little bit into the inner thigh, you're probably going to feel quite a lot, much more sensation on the sciatic side than on the other side. So just be mindful of it. Don't go too far. Place your right hand into your right hip crease. Your left hand can remain on your left hip for the moment. So bring it a little bit higher on top of the hip bone here. And then start to press your right hip back. So your left hip is automatically gonna lift. And maybe you feel that big stretch in the back. Or maybe it's still okay for you. Again, don't go to pain. So keep the upper body nice and long, not too much effort in the upper body. We're not gonna go to full triangle for the moment. So we just wanna stretch here a little bit. So breathe in and out. And then come back. Place the right toes towards the long side, the left toes towards the short side. So your heels are in one line. Take a big breath in. Left hand in your left hip crease, right hand on your right hip bone. So you really see that difference of up and down. And then start to press into your left hip crease. And you might observe different sensations. Maybe the stretch is, or the sensation of stretch is the same. Maybe you also feel like, whoa, I'm going way deeper here. So then it's really a sign for you that the muscles are shortened here on one side. So inhale, exhale. So don't lean forward. We still have to respect our whole body. So long upper body, breathing. Let's stay here for 2 more breaths. And then coming back. And so with that observation of one side being different than the other, if that's the case, go back to the side that's a little bit less cooperative. So if both your sides are equal, you can by all means do 3 breaths one side, 3 breaths on the other side. We are gonna go, if you have sciatic or if you feel that there is a difference, we're gonna go for 6 breaths on one side. So for me, that's the right side. So I'm changing my right toes to point to the short side again, placing my right hand in my right hip crease, and then gently go over and staying here for 6 breaths. So don't make it a static move, okay? Where static and move is a little bit contradictory, but don't make it a static pose. So we're inhaling, maybe lifting up a little bit, and then exhaling very cautiously, mindfully, going a little bit deeper. Inhaling, exhaling. So if I would look in the mirror, I don't think I would see myself move, but internally, I'm definitively moving. And if you're breathing, you're moving anyway. So never ever go to pain. Just explore the sensation that you have. And then at a certain moment, it might just be enough. And then inhale, come back up. And bring both feet together, both feet to the front, to the long side of your mat. So separate your feet, like they can be at the same distance as we were before. And we're gonna inhale, reach the arms up. And then exhale, fold forward. Again, from the hip crease, folding forward. So now we're going back to our hamstrings here. And maybe you feel a difference between the beginning, the first movements we did. So you can place your hands onto your legs just for now, because we want to really focus onto our legs. So roll the shoulders back, still have that long spine, but that's not where our focus is for the moment. If you want to bring the focus there, by all means. So maybe you're not going that deep. So here again, if you want to do this during your day, you can place your hands on the counter or the table or the back of a chair and just press your hips back. Lengthen your upper body, because that length in the spine is going to help with the stretch in the legs. And then very slowly start to drop your head, drop your upper body. If your hands touch the floor, that's great. If not, that's great too. And then we're going to walk our hands forward. So make sure you have some kind of a grip. So again, if you have a counter or a low table or something, you can place it there. And then now for your feet, pay attention that you're not falling on the inside of your feet. So you really want to put a lot of weight on the outside without lifting the whole inside of your feet. And then start to press into your hands so that your head comes in between your arms, a very wide-legged dog. So, and again, maybe you feel more one side than the other. Don't go too far if this is too much for you. And then slowly start to walk your hands back and walk your hands towards the right. So we're gonna bend the right knee, lift the right heel, lift the left toes, and stretch out the left leg. So really stretching it out. Again, going to that more inside of the thigh. Lifting the toes, so flex your foot. If you wanna go and have a bit of fun, you can bring your hands in front of your heart, or maybe even up. But don't start to compensate with your whole body here. So the focus is on the inner leg. And at the same time, since your right heel is lifted, we're also stretching into the ankle. So this might give for you a very good sensation or a new thing. And then press your hands down, start to press into your right foot, and let's walk to the left. So here, if your right leg is the one that's bothering you, this might be a very different thing. So lift your right toes, flex your foot, lift your left heel, lift your right toes. Yeah, that's what I said. So then again, maybe you can come up more in balance, maybe not. And I would strongly suggest that you get yourself a pair of blocks, especially if we're dealing with, I wouldn't call it an injury, but like a temporary, I was going to say a disagreement with our body, but that's not really a thing. But like something that bothers you, but it's temporary, it might come back, but if it comes back, you know how to deal with it. So it's really finding which movements I can do to help me. And if you have blocks, you have a better support and you can focus more on this than instead of focusing on staying upright. And then maybe again, you feel that stretch into your ankle. And then gently press yourself up. Bring your hands back to the front and bring your feet a little bit closer. So if you're on your mat, you can bring your feet as wide as your mat. So I'm just gonna turn around. So my feet are as wide as my mat. Half of my feet is even spilling out. And then I'm going to, again, a wide-legged dog, but it's not gonna be such a wide dog. So press into your hands, press your head, bring your head between your arms, roll the shoulders out, and really press your hips back and see if you can stretch out your legs. So for me, that sensation is totally, totally different. And then coming back. And let's bring our knees down. And coming to a child's pose. So wide knee, child's pose, big toes together. Bring your hands at the front of your mat. Take a breath in and then exhale, press yourself back. So you're gonna push yourself back with your hips. You're holding your hands where they were. Take a breath in and then slowly walk your hands back, but keeping that length into the spine until maybe your bum is touching your heels, maybe not. If you prefer to have your knees together, by all means, go there. And then bring your forehead down. So find that stretch into your spine, keeping the arms very active here, the fingers pressing down. And then let's inhale, come onto all fours. So bring the wrists underneath the shoulders, the knees underneath the hips, making sure that you have a neutral spine. So neutral should feel really good. Of course, if you have a lower back that hurts even a neutral spine is gonna bother you. So just be mindful about that. And then take a breath in, and as you exhale, lift your tailbone and drop your belly button. So just feel what happens in that area that bothers you into your bum. Maybe nothing, maybe you feel just a little bit more heat there or a little bit more pull. And then exhale. Bring the tailbone down, lift the belly button. And then let's go into the full cat and cow. So inhaling, tailbone up, drop the belly button. One vertebrae at a time. And then lengthen the neck and look forward. So exhale, tailbone down, belly button up, round your spine. One vertebrae at a time. And the neck is going to be the last one. The chin to the chest, press into your hands. Let's stay here for 2 breaths. Pressing into the hands, popping the spine up, rounding the back. And then with your next inhale, let's go for 3 rounds of cat and cow. So bring some movement and some stretch into the spine. These long muscles that run alongside our spine, they like to have a little bit of love as well. And then coming back to center. We're just going to do 1 downward dog because I really want to go into more the focus on the sciatic, what we can do. So because downward dog feels good, you don't have to believe me. Tuck your toes, separate your fingers, press into your fingers, into your hands. So your arms are strong here. And then press yourself up. So lift your hips up first. Your knees are bent. You're on your toes. And then press into your hands so that you can bring your head in between your arms. So we've done that twice with a child's pose as well. Lifting the hips up. Try not to curve your spine. Like explore. Just for a moment, lift your tailbone up. Really like bringing your tailbone towards your shoulders almost. So your pubic bone is going towards your, and then you should feel the curve in your lower spine or at least something happening. And now do the reverse. Bring the tailbone towards your heels. Your pubic bone is coming up. Your whole upper body is going to round when you do this. So we have to find somewhere in between, which is the neutral spine. And then gently start to walk your dog. But move slowly. If we're focusing on the sciatic or stretching the legs, move slowly and maybe stay a little bit longer on that side that's bothering you. So bringing the heel as much down as possible, lengthening the upper body, taking a breath in and then changing to the other side. And then again to the not cooperative side. And what we have to think about is because a tendency will be very often to avoid working with the side that's bothering us and then to just have that joyful feeling of being able to do quite a lot with the side that is okay. And by doing that, we create more and more imbalance between one side and the other. So look at it in a different way. Look at it that the side that's okay will help and support the side that's not okay for the moment. And that's what we should be doing as humans as well. But so let's at least start within our own body. And then bend both your knees, lengthen again your spine if you feel that you collapsed, and then both heels come down. So for the sciatic, you could do a pigeon pose here. I'm not going to do it now. If you know how to do pigeon pose, go ahead, do it. I'd rather work on the back so that it's more accessible for everybody. So take a breath in and then exhale, bring the knees down. Turn your legs towards the front of your mat. So first, we're going to do one that's very similar to what we did in our balance pose. You're going to bring your hands back. You when you bring your fingers back, your shoulders are going to be more open. If you bring your fingers forward, you might just have a little bit more stability. So make sure your tailbone is comfortable, your spine remains straight, and then lift your left leg and bring it over your right knee. So same thing. Maybe you can bring your right foot a little bit closer. Maybe you can start to walk your upper body a little bit closer. Flex your left foot. And this might be, okay, I don't feel anything. So the other thing that you could do here, if you have a wall, and so I'm just going to turn around and show it to you, otherwise just stay here. So if you have a wall, I like to do it because I have the feedback from the wall is exactly the same. So first I bring my legs like this. I'm going to put my foot here and then do the same thing. And then I'm going to bring myself a little bit closer. So most probably I'm going to have to lift my right leg up. And then I can start to press into the wall to bring all this back. So you can start with legs up the wall for this movement and then wiggle yourself back. Or you can start like I did. So this is a real deeper stretch. Watch out, like I just noticed for me, I'm lifting my sacrum here. So you want to keep the sacrum onto the floor. So it means that I'm a little bit too close. So I'm going to wiggle a little bit more back because you want to keep the spine neutral so that you can really reach those deep muscles. So if you have moved to a wall, we're just going to do the other side. If you're still with your hands on the floor because you have no wall or because you're just good there, let's move to the other side. So you undo your legs wherever you are. Maybe you need to separate your feet and your hands a little bit more to get into it. And then to go, if your feet are against the wall, you can lift your sacrum for a moment and then push it back down. So I'm going now into my more difficult side, my right side. And I'm gonna put my right hand on my right knee and see. So you have to be careful that when you use the wall, that you don't have to compensate with your waist so that you start to banana in your waist. So keep the waist nice and long, equal on both sides. So, and if you're still sitting, then you're here, and then you're gonna play a little bit with bring that foot closer, bring your arms closer, and really flexing that foot to protect your knee. So this is actually feeling really good for me. I hope for you too. And then again, when you're here, watch out that you don't bring the weight all the way to one side. So you want to stay seated on your both sides. The spine is long. And then release. So grab a belt or a towel or whatever you have available. If you only have these stretchy straps, this will work too for what we're going to do because we don't really want to pull onto our legs. So a Pilates belt, like more elastic band, will work as well. So come onto your back, and we are going to do, if you have a problem on one side, we are going to start with that side and then go to the other side and then come back to the first side. So if you don't have a problem, please balance it in your time. Do 1, 1, 1, 1, or 1 long and 1 long. So I ask you to be mindful of that since this practice is more focused on one side. So start with the side that's a little bit more difficult, and then bring the strap around your foot. Make sure that your toes are in line with your knee. So sometimes we bring the foot inside, or I don't know, there's all kinds of things, especially if we're pulling onto the strap. Sometimes this form, like the foot is diagonally pointing towards the ceiling because we're pulling more onto the right leg. So make sure you can find that balance. I'm just gonna if you put the strap around your ankle, sometimes the foot remains more balanced. So you put it around the around the heel, and then it's actually going to the back of your leg, and you take it on one side. So here you're just pulling with one side, which might be okay. So just choose if you prefer. Here, it's good too. Just be aware that your sole of your feet is parallel with the ceiling. So relax your arms, relax your shoulders, don't pull. If your strap is short, then by all means you can bring your hands up, but see if you can still relax your shoulders. So it's not about pulling. That's gonna feel good. It's gonna be really active, the stretch, but we wanna find that length inside our leg. So ideally we should be able to do it without our strap. But the strap is a good indicator, so sometimes we need a little helper here. So just hold on to the strap, press your heel up, and then press your hip down. And see if you can imagine creating space between your hip and your bum, and your hip and your heel. And if you feel like there's not a lot of movement, take the strap into your left hand, take your right thumb and place it in your hip crease, but like really go and look for it. It's underneath your hip bone, especially if your leg is straight up, and then press with your thumb. You can't do anything wrong here, but you have to relax your hip here. If you're all tied up, then nothing is gonna move. So inhale, exhale, relax into your hip, into your quads, and press forward and allow your leg to move forward. So the bum here is moving forward. Your leg is still up. You might have to hold a little bit more onto your strap here, as I just noticed I'm doing. So once you created that space, take the strap again into both hands and see if you can reproduce this without your thumb. So, and then take the strap into your left hand. And what's important now is really to keep both hips parallel. So maybe you can place your hand onto your right hip. Yes, the right hip. So gently start to bring the leg over to the left, just over your center. Don't go any further. And it's all very new sensations, possibly, that you're gonna sense. So we still want to have that foot, that sole of the foot, nice and aligned. You don't want to go too far. We're not looking for more sensation. We just want to say hello to our IT band. You might feel something on the outside of your right thigh. You might feel something there where you feel it in your bum. So if you would put your right hand towards it, where it hurts or where you think it hurts, or annoy, no pain. So where it's annoying into your bum, you might bump onto your sitting bone. So that too, there can be some inflammation there. So it's always important to get rid of the inflammation first before we start to do any crazy things. So release with every exhale. And then very slowly now bring your right leg all the way over to the left. So we're going to roll onto our left side. The left foot is turning outwards. And we just, like, if your right shoulder lifts, don't worry. We're really working with this leg for now. So it's not about so much opening the chest. If that's the sensation you want to feel, then go ahead, feel. And then very slowly coming back up. Take the strap off and very slowly bring that right leg down and release. So I'm not saying this feels wow now, but definitively there's something happening. If you notice that it's getting worse when you do this, then it definitively means there is inflammation in one of the muscles. So I would suggest you then to take it easy and move even before you reach any stretching sensation. But keep on moving, don't stop moving, because otherwise your muscles are going to get so short that probably your lower back is going to be the next one in line to bother you. So take the strap, place it around your left foot. Make sure your right leg is active. So you don't want to have your leg just hanging there. Maybe that's the only thing you want to do now, because we just worked that leg, but see if you can keep it active as a support for your left. So, and again, take the strap in the right hand and then place your thumb into that hip crease, and then take a breath in, relax. So relax your belly, relax here all these muscles into your hip, and see if you can press forward. So if we need to relax, we're holding on to the leg with the strap, press your hip forward. It's a really difficult thing to find that relaxation in the hips, because our hips are not used to relax. They have to hold us all the time. And then again, take the strap with your both hands. See if you can stretch from your heel towards your hip, finding that long, long stretch. And definitively, if this side is not bothering you, you really feel different sensations. So it's just not comparing them, but just observing how interesting it is that it's, maybe how can one side be so different than the other side? But if we just observe, then we can do something to this bothering side. Take the strap into your right hand, place your left hand onto your hip so that we make sure that the left hip bone remains on the floor, and then bring the left leg just over a little bit. So I know this is a very strange sensation, something like a sensation we don't feel very often. So the tendency will be to try to get away with it, get out of it. So to lift the left bum, but keep your left bum on the floor. Just go only as far as you can still breathe. And then very slowly, we're gonna bring that left leg all the way over to the right. Again, if you want to open your chest, you can bring your left arm out and keep the left shoulder out. I'm just going to move because I'm hitting the wall here. But it's more about finding that stretch into the leg and into the IT bands. And if you have a wall that's in where you're hitting on it, sometimes it's good to have that feedback from the wall, so you can press into the wall. In my life classes, I love to teach with the wall. And then slowly come back up. Take the strap off and release. And so now without the strap, just to explore, if you prefer to take the strap, go ahead. Let's lift the right leg up again. Press your heel away. Press the hip down. So creating that space, by all means, you can place your right thumb into your right hip crease, but you're going to feel, since we don't have the strap, these muscles have to work quite a lot. So it's more going to be from moving your right hip forward that you're going to create that space. And then just very gently move over to the left, keeping both bums on the floor. So by all means, if you prefer to work with your strap, go ahead and then lift your leg up again, and then slowly coming back. Placing both hands onto your hip bones, and now move your feet side to side, just moving. Maybe you feel something happening in the hips. And then one more before our final Shavasana. Bend your knees, place your feet as high, as wide as your mat, so they can even spill over a little bit. And you just start to move your knees from side to side. So just releasing in the hips, in the lower back, in the sacrum, all these spots. So no effort here. So we don't want to stretch. We just want to let go from side to side. And then coming back to center, lengthening out the left leg. So left heel moves towards the left corner, lengthening out the right leg. Right heel moves to the right corner. And then flop your feet out. Bring your arms into your position for Shavasana. And some days it might just feel better for you to bring your arms up. Maybe that's what you need today. So again, explore. Don't stay stuck with one image of a pose. But what we're looking here in Shavasana is to be able to digest our practice very calmly. And sometimes if we explore a little too much, our mind is too active and our body cannot relax. So So if you want to stay here for a little while and really taking in this practice for your sciatica, the pain, I'm not going to tell you that you shouldn't feel anything now, but you might feel a bit more freedom as you start your day, move on. And don't forget that most of these helpful movements for sciatica you can do during your day. It only takes like couple of breaths. I would say 10 breaths into the movement, into the pose, and then go on with your day. So we breathe about 12 times a minute on average. So 10 breaths would not even be 1 minute of your whole day. Start to deepen your breath and moving the toes and the fingers. Maybe gently move your head from side to side. And then taking a deep breath in, your choice. If you feel like stretching out, if it's the start of your day, stretch out, please push your heels away, your toes up, or stretch out your toes. Really feeling what's good for you. And then exhale, bring the knees into the chest. And then roll over to one side. I'm gonna roll over to the side, to the left side, because I don't want to put pressure on my right hip. That's the one that's bothering me. And then placing your right hand onto the floor or your left and coming up into a comfortable seated position. Closing your eyes. Bring your hands in front of your heart if that's acceptable for you. Tucking your chin slightly. May you find peace within and then share it with everybody. Thank you for practicing with me, for sharing, for giving, and I wish you a wonderful day. Namaste.